Let's get the latest now from eNCA anchor Eleni Giokos, who is at the World Economic Forum in Africa taking place in Cape Town. Eleni, day 2, what happened last night and this morning?
Okay, very good morning to you, Shahan. So a lot of excitement this morning because the competitiveness report has been released, and of course everybody is focusing on the big gaps that we're seeing within Africa and the differences between every single country. But Africa and Mauritius coming out tops once again. Very exciting stuff. The fact that South Africa is still coming out tops, but we could be losing our place going forward. And also, when I say excitement, we have Tito Mboweni with us. He's just sat down next to me. So thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to eNCA. And it's been such a rush, and this is what the World Economic Forum is about, running from one meeting to the next. What is your sense of how South Africa is being taken up by the world?
I think the most important thing is that the World Economic Forum is seen it important to bring African issues together. So we should look more about African issues. How does South Africa fit within Africa, and what role the other players in the world can play in Africa's development. And I'm very excited personally that the Africa part of the World Economic Forum has grown over the years. From when we started doing this about 14 years ago up to now, things are very impressive. In terms of the overall economic situation, I think South Africa is doing fairly well. If we can manage a growth rate of around 2.5 to 3%, I think that will be very good. Nigeria, probably a growth rate of something like 7%, which is very good. It's a low base. Lots of infrastructure development in Nigeria has to happen. But things are pumping there. That's 160 million people and growing every night. So it's a huge market. Kenya, on the other hand, stabilizing politically. Good performance from Zambia. We have just seen a bond issue by Rwanda with an interest rate of something like 7%. So I think things are pumping and up in Africa.
What do you make of South Africa's role going forward? Trevor Manuel, Minister in the Presidency, says that South Africa should watch its back. Do you agree with that?
No, South Africa doesn't need to watch its back. South Africa needs to strengthen its factors of production, its competitiveness. South Africa must see herself as part and parcel of the African continent. At the moment, South Africa, of course, accounts for about 20% of the African GDP. In the next, couple of years, by 2030, Nigeria will probably account for about 25% or 30% of Africa's GDP. But it doesn't matter. This is one continent, it's one African economy. Let's grow it and let it become big. Whichever part of Africa contributes to a better economic performance by the whole continent, I'm happy.
Mr. Mboweni, are you concerned about the unemployment rate in South Africa? Are you concerned about the lower growth rates? Because we're actually dragging down the overall sub-Saharan African region. That is the reality.
Look, there has been fundamental structural change in the South African economy, and one should expect that. South Africa has grown over the years from dependence on mining and agriculture, more and more to dependence on manufacturing and the tertiary sector of the economy. And that will be South Africa's contribution to the African continent. We have the largest money and capital market base in South Africa. That's good for the African continent, and we should take advantage of all of that. We have got a very strong banking and finance sector. We should take advantage of that into Africa. We have a better manufacturing base. We should take that into Africa. In fact, one of the companies I'm involved with has invested quite strongly, heavily in Nigeria, and the Nigerian business is pumping like hell. Similarly, we're invested in Angola, and the business is happening. So I think South Africans should see themselves less as local and more as continental and global. That's how things are. Look beyond the squatter camp into the rest of Africa.
Fantastic, so very exciting stuff. Thank you very much for your comments, and always great to have you with us. Tito Mboweni joining us here in Cape Town at the World Economic Forum on Africa, and a word of optimism coming through from the former Reserve Bank Governor. Shahan, it's back to you.
Well, Eleni, it seems he was very optimistic to get to you. The poor man ran there, sweating like you won't believe, just to get you that information. Well, thanks very much. Eleni Giokos speaking to us from the World Economic Forum on Africa.
News that moves. eNCA.com.